Hey everyone, Tom Seymour here from VHS Masker. I figured I'd do a quick update, a little talk on independent filmmaking. For those of you who don't know, I've been making independent feature-length films for a long time now, a few decades, and so I like to do these videos every now and then to talk about what I'm up to, and a lot of the stuff will apply if you're a filmmaker who's starting out, or you may, even if you're making a film now, you may pick up a few things, mistakes I made that you can improve on, or things that I figured out that you can use. It's all about trial and error. But one of the greatest things that's happened is my latest feature-length documentary called American Expendables is now free on Tubi. And so sometimes in your career you have to honestly adjust your dreams, right? You all have dreams of, like, when I was young, I think I had slightly delusional, had dreams of being like the next Matt Damon or something, because initially Good Will Hunting was not really an independent film, but we kind of drank the Kool-Aid back in the day and thought that it was. But to be like that, to build a project together and to be in it, and to be a film director, and so the goal was to sort of be like that, make these big studio films. Once you start to get larger budgets, there are things attached to it. Okay, so you can't always do exactly what you want to do, and the more money, the more strings attached, and so sometimes you can't sort of do what you want. And filmmakers have talked about this over the years. But the truth is, I never really felt comfortable with a large budget anyway. The biggest budget I had with London Betty was about 14 or 15 grand, and that was an hour and 20-minute feature-length comedy adventure. And even at that point, it felt like a lot of money. You're bringing other people on, and it can be uncomfortable. And so at a certain point, it was like, I just kind of decided more than anything, I'm like an AV nerd. So just kind of wanted to make films. So, but feature-length films with a brass ring. And so at a certain point, I kind of had to pivot to this concept of, okay, yes, in the 90s, there were a few films like El Mariachi and Clerks that were cheap, like $9,000 for El Mariachi, $40,000 for Clerks. But what happened was the studios picked those films up, dumped a quarter, by today's standards, adjusted for inflation, dumped about $250,000 into those films to re-edit them, fix them up, color grade them, and then release them in the theater. So it was never real. But what was real was direct-to-video. The mom and pop video stores, Hollywood Video, Movie Gallery, Blockbuster Video. Getting in those stores was like the next best thing, right? And so that became my new dream. So that was the brass ring. And so over time I was able to do that several times with feature-length films and get them in the video stores and all that stuff. As streaming came along, video stores began to sunset for the most part, although there are some still out there, which is awesome. I had to find a new dream. What's the new dream? So then it was like getting a film on Netflix, and I did that with Land of College Profits back when it was physical media, and then it was getting in Blockbuster back in the day. We did that, and then it was at a certain point, then you're looking at specific streaming formats. So in the past 5 years, I really started to eyeball. Don't get me wrong, I look at networks like Shudder. I was never able to get a movie onto Shudder, but it was streaming on the Shudder 2-week virtual convention, and so that was kind of close. But this streaming site Tubi started to pop up, and the more I went on Tubi, the more I actually liked it. Way better than Netflix, way better than Prime, better than Hulu, and it was all free movies. And that was kind of more in my wheelhouse anyway. Like, I just want to get the film out there. I don't want to just have a film premiere on YouTube, because I don't think that's gonna, for me, I think I have like 2,500 followers on there, specifically YouTube. I have a lot other on other formats. I'm approaching the 30K mark across all forms, but so I still have that filmmaker snobbery where I want things to premiere on like a sort of streaming platform made for feature-length films, and Tubi was a really good one. So that was my new dream. And I was able to do that with the VHS Massacre films, and then with this newest one, American Expendables. And so that's what I find is that sometimes, from time to time, you have to recalibrate what your dreams are. Sometimes you don't give up on your dreams. Sometimes your dreams don't make sense anymore. So then you recalibrate, and then and you have to keep doing it. Find new adventures. Find things to do that are new, that you can explore. And so that's my advice there. The film itself is American Expendables is a documentary about direct-to-video action stars like Bolo Young, Cynthia Rothrock, Billy Blanks. Streaming for free on Tubi. It was on Fandango at Home. That was a paywall one, but that was a big deal because that's kind of like Fandango at Home is like where they will run like early theatrical releases in that gray area where they're still in the theater. So that was a big deal too. So there's a few things that happen. But if you're making an independent film, one of the things I learned is don't, especially if you haven't sold it yet, don't go after reviews. Don't bother. Go after film festivals. It will get more attention. There are two ways it benefits. If you get into the film festival, that's great, whether it's official selection, nomination, or win. And then you could use your social media, and then you can kind of talk about it. I got into this, I got into that, check out this movie. So it's not only the publicity from the film festival, it's the publicity you can generate from the film festival. It's like creating news for yourself, but in a way that's based upon merit, not about just sensation, right? It's not frivolous, right? So, if you can get together with a couple of your buddies, put in some money, enter like 30 film festivals, maybe that costs you like $500. Be very careful about what you enter. Try to hone in on the festival list and pick festivals that you think will take your film. We always want to go aim high, right? I couldn't stomach entering Sundance or Slamdance anymore with this one. I may have a project in a few years that I'll just suck it up and try, But I think the only one I entered was Austin, I think was the big one. And then San Francisco Indie Fest, which is a large festival, but they're actually known for taking real independent films, which are like low budget, not made outside of the studio system, not by studio insiders. So there is a pet peeve of mine where if it's like Steven Spielberg's Kid or something, and they're like, I made an independent film, I'm like, did you really? So my pet peeve is if you're gonna use like inside industry people, then it's a stretch to call yourself independent, because the definition is supposed to be independent of the edifice of the studio system, So now you make the independent film and then you get acquired. Like Tubi is a very large conglomerate, right? I forget what Tubi is owned by. It might be Fox. I think it's Fox. So you have to play with the studios a bit when you have the film finished. But the advantage is you get to make what you want to make. You have to be resourceful, and you won't have a ton of resources. But in the other side of it is you're not wasting other people's money. You can get together with a few friends, save up a couple grand a piece, although I know that's really hard to do now. I understand how hard that is. It's not a great time to do that kind of thing. But it won't always be that way. And I really believe you could make a feature-length horror film. I made one for $6,000, and it had Debbie Rochon and Ellen Muth in it. It's streaming now. It's called Exorcism of Fleet Marish. I think you can make one for about $3,000 now. I don't actually talk about this in this article I wrote about try not to shoot on weekends. The following is one of the best examples of a film that was mostly shot kind of on weekends in little spurts. And it's Christopher Nolan's first feature. And there's even continuity errors within the following. There's the differences in hair length of the characters and stuff like that. It kind of works for the story. But if Nolan had trouble dealing with that, then anyone will. Just because that dude plays with time constantly in films, and so that's what I have for that. Some of the festivals. This is exciting. American Expendables is now an official selection of San Francisco Indie Fest's Another Hole in the Head. So San Francisco Indie Fest is one of the top film festivals in the United States, top independent film festivals in the United States. They have under their flag Another Hole in the Head. I think they have a documentary fest. So they have a few different festivals, but Another Hole in the Head is their genre festival under their, the main flag. It got into that one. So far it's gotten, this is official selection, but so far it's won 7 awards, and it's had about 15 selections and nominations. And will that make you get a better distribution deal? No, but what it will do is this film is now played in about a dozen cities in the United States. Some of it was virtual, but that's kind of the point. The film festival circuit can be our theatrical circuit, right? So with VHS Massacre 2, we entered a ton of them, and we won 23 awards, official selections, 30-something, But what that means is most of those festivals were having a screening in a venue in a specific city. So it could be San Francisco, Vancouver, Montreal, New York City, place near Tampa in Florida, Los Angeles. Basically what you're doing is you're having your film play all over the United States and potentially all over the world, because they played in places like Sweden and I think even India, so pretty cool stuff. So that's a way where your film becomes more than direct-to-video. You can make it a sort of have a theatrical experience through the film festival circuit. And so that's a really wonderful thing. And so I would recommend trying to do that. Even if you have a having a horror film in the festival circuit is actually great, because there's a ton of small horror film festivals. And don't be discouraged. For the longest time, I wanted to get into the New York Horror Film Festival, because I've lived in New York for half my life now. And I never did. But one day I got into Chicago Horror Festival, which is more important and has been running even longer. So sometimes you don't get exactly what you want, but hang in there, you might get something even better. And so that's just a message to just keep going. So that's the poster for American Expendables. This is something I do too. I make a film festival poster. It looks cool. It looks like your film has passed muster, and it's like a passport, right? It's been all over the world, so it's kind of cool, right? You got your stamps. So there's something fun about that. But also, it shows that the film's passed muster. So I think it's a very cool thing for you to do. And the last thing I'll talk about is Video Dreams. Video Dreams is a film I'm making documentary film I'm making now, it kind of goes through some of the films I've done in my past, and I think it's going to be very interesting. I had to kind of delve through some points in my career that were highs and lows, and you will find that. And don't ever count yourself out. I can recall a time where I was renting out a single room in a basement apartment in New York City, and one of the funny things, it's funny to me now, but I'd open the basement window to get fresh air, and at night sand from the street would blow in onto my face in the bed. And I remember having a computer kind of too slow to edit my movie, and all my friends had moved out of the city, and I was in my 30s at that point, and sort of like really questioning my life choices. But you just got to hang in there, you know. You look for the opportunities that are given to you and take them. One of the opportunities I was given was to go back to school. So I was able to go back to college. The job I took at the time, it didn't pay extremely well, but one of the things was that I could take a few college classes. So I did that for 7 years until I got my MFA in film production. And that opened up opportunities. Not in the way that I thought it would. Not in the way that I dreamed, but in some cases even better. So you never know. So that's all I have to say for now. Check out American Expendables, streaming for free on Tubi, as well as Trauma Entertainment still has out VHS Massacre 1 and 2. So if you're at any Trauma convention, you could always pick up VHS Massacre 1 and 2, and those are also streaming as well. So, okay, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.